I don't know about you guys, but that view never gets old. I've got help today. Mom called me last night and said, I'm helping you tomorrow, whether you like it or not. So there she is. As you guys saw in a previous video, we got all the braces up, we got the walk boards up, we got 6 feet of ICF stacked. We got to come in this morning and screw down all of the feet on the braces and stack out some more ICF. Hopefully we'll have this sucker ready for pour by the time we leave today. We do have some kid stuff going on, but let's get into this. We got all the braces screwed down. You guys can see the 2 screws there. There's smaller holes on these 2 corners. And again, we use those roofing metal screws because most of your deck screws, the shaft that doesn't have threads is longer than 3/4 of an inch, and it's never a guarantee that you're going to hit a stud where these brace feet land. As you saw on time lapse, I pushed on the base here, the foot, to put as much pressure on the wall as I could, and then I will go around and adjust each of these to make sure that we have plenty of stroke of adjustment way before we pour. But the next step is to get up on the walk board, screw the walk board down where we've got an overlap to make sure that that doesn't come off on us, and then probably toenail that together because that one over here is just flopping around in no man's land. You can see it shouldn't be a problem, but if I toenail it to this board, it won't be a problem at all. So we're going to get that taken care of, and then we're going to start stacking out some ICF. Actually, we may make a door buck first to go in that opening so that my next course, if it does need to be notched, I'll know the proper height to notch it. One or the other, not for sure yet. All right, so we're going to make the door buck first. You ready for that? A typical rough opening for a door is 82.5, but my plywood is actually a 1/2 inch above the styrofoam ICF wall that the bottom of this board will sit on. This is a treated 2x12. Anytime you have wood up against concrete that's going to stay there for eternity, you need to use treated lumber. So I've got treated 2x12s. Yes, the wall is 11 inches wide, and this is going to be 11.5. So long term, it's 11.25 actually. Long term, I will plane down 1/4 of an inch, but for now, I will offset to the inside or the outside that 1/4 of an inch and just let it hang past the ICF wall. That's not a problem. We'll strap it, and that 1/4 inch gap isn't going to hurt anything. But what we got to cut because of the 1/2 inch extra is 2 83-inch boards, and then my opening is 40 minus 3 inches. That gets us to 37, so that we have a 1/2 inch on the right and a 1/2 inch on the left of gap, and we can foam that closed. So let's get some boards cut. So this is how you put together a door buck. Again, it has to be treated lumber because concrete is going to touch it. And for those of you who do some woodworking, you know that this is the grain of the wood. Well, if you put that rainbow shape, U-shape up, this board can always curl away from itself. So I like to crown it. It's another way of crowning boards, but That board, you can see it's got a curve to it. If I put that down and I screw it down, it shouldn't move nearly as much as it would if I put it the other way. You want the top of your door buck to go on top of your sides, and then on the bottom you actually put those boards on the inside because you get a lot more side pressure from the concrete. Oh boy. Not enough room in the addition to do this on a nice flat floor, so we get to do it out here, which always makes it fun. Again, just using coated deck screws since it is treated. Want to definitely use something that's coated. This stays in for lifetime. This never comes out. I like to put at least 4 screws in it. That side top done. Get this side on there.
It's up a little bit.
Yep, I'll fix that in just a second. Come on, board, play nice.
It's not exactly flush.
Oh yes.
Okay.
That's good to go.
Okey-dokey.
You guys saw I put the top one in and the bottom one in to get the board nice and flush with the edge. Now on the bottom, when you're pouring a wall that the concrete goes under the door, which this is not one of those walls. When you're pouring a wall when the concrete goes under the door, you use 2x4s so you can make sure and get the pump truck hose down in that gap where those 2x4s are. But since we have a solid bottom, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna put 2x12s in between because I don't have to worry about any concrete flowing under the door. And I call that cheating, but realistically it's just same concept. All you want to do is hold this buck apart. You're not really worried about anything other than concrete pressure coming in from the sides, which pushes on your boards. So if you put these boards on the inside, it keeps it from being able to push to the inside. And there's some other crutching and bracing that we have to do, but that's not until just before pour, because otherwise it'd be hard to access the building if you braced it up beforehand. You guys can see what I mean by on the inside now. I'm on the inside of the board instead of the top of it. Make sure that's flush with the edge. Yeah, it's hard to grab screws with gloves on, ain't it? So once we pour, this board comes back out, and I just take a Sawzall and clip those screw heads off, and it don't matter. Never be seen again.
Oh, we have all these screws to get, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure we are, yeah, 37, which is where we need to be for an RO. We need to cut 10 3/4. Yep. Cut a board 10 3/4, screw it in there, and then I'm going to put a piece on top to bridge the seam. been more than a quarter, but that's all right. Better than wasting a full board. I'll have to hold it and cut it.
Okay.
I don't like your hands near the blade. I don't mind if mine are there. Look
Watch
out.
out. Watch out. Watch out.
Trying to hit me today. Bring that up just a little. Ah, lost it right as the screw went in. That will take a little bit longer, 2x12.
See.
Now we don't have to worry about it spreading.
So how do you get that even?
Good to go. We'll put a couple more screws in that.
It went down, baby.
That's just because it's not screwed off on this side.
Okay.
Put a couple more screws in that and the buck will be ready to slide in. Keep it.
Oh.
Okay, we got all the braces fastened down. You guys just saw us put the door buck in. This is my current strapping. I know I have said over and over and over again, 2 studs, 2 studs, 2 studs. That is the case with the strapping also. I screwed up. I put a brace 1 stud away and 1 stud away, so I am turning my straps to catch 2 blocks, get a screw in each one and then 2 screws in the door. I'll put another strap here. And as we go up, there'll be 1 more strap on the top 2 corners right up there that you guys can see. But the next step before we start stacking this thing out is we need to get the wall level. As you guys can see, that's not level. So this wall needs to come in roughly 3/4 of an inch. So Mom's gonna run the level. I'm gonna get up on top and I'll show you guys how we make this adjustment. Okay, so here is the next beauty of plumb wall braces. If I wasn't using a level and I was using a string line, which we'll show you guys that long term, but since we're using a level, one guy up here making adjustments on the braces.
Stop.
Is that level?
You're perfect.
I know! You don't have to tell me.
Enough.
All right, so now get as close as you can to the next brace. I'm assuming it's got to go in also.
Let me get lined up. Okay. Stop. A little more. Perfect.
I know!
Oh, good Lord.
I could do this all day.
Well, I have to listen to this all day.
So you guys see how this is adjusted. It's just simple. I love these braces. And again, I don't make 1 penny saying that. They're just awesome. If you're gonna do ICF work, if you're gonna build your own ICF house, I recommend you spending the money on plumb wall braces. We're gonna adjust the rest of these, get the wall nice and level, and start stacking some ICF. So as you all are aware, this is the lintel above the door, and we've got to go to that red line. So we're going to have at least 3 more courses, which means there'll be 4 courses of concrete weight over top of this doorway. So I've added in the bottom third of that distance, you can see I put it in between the actual webbing. Instead of locking it here, which puts it halfway, I've put it down closer to the door to ensure that I have true support of that lintel. And all I did was zip tie 3 pieces of rebar together. You guys can see how it's zip tied there in a triangular shape. And then I zip tied it to that bottom part of the webbing so it can't move when the concrete goes in there. But I will say, with that much rebar in one spot, let's assume your concrete's just a little bit high or low of a slump, 4 instead of 6, for example, it'll catch on that rebar. So you got to pay attention to make sure that the concrete makes it all the way down to that top plate of that doorway. But I wanted to show you guys how I did that lintel. You can see it extends at least 2 foot past and at least 2 foot past. So that'll support that lintel absolutely perfectly. Let's get back to stacking block. cannot thank you enough, sir. We are going up with our new flag. Boy, does that look better than the last one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, there you have it. We are 10 foot all the way around. We have one for sure, maybe two to get to the floor, which is fine. But we just checked the radar. We've got a pretty severe storm coming in, so we're gonna have to call it for the day, unfortunately. I will come back, get the last two courses on, one for sure, maybe two, and then do all the strapping as well. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, like, comment, subscribe.